Okay, we are live now.
So good morning everyone, and welcome to this webinar number 12 of the SocialRES project. My name is Silvia Caneva. I'm the coordinator of SocialRES, and we are very happy to be here with you today for this very interesting webinar, let's say one-to-one. Then the final webinars of SocialRES will take place at the end of the project. But today we have this last one-to-one meeting webinars. I welcome all the participants that are in Zoom. I kindly ask them, as you already done, to keep the camera off, the microphone off, because after the presentation of our speakers, I give you the possibility to interact. We are also streaming this webinar in YouTube and Twitter. So as I said, I'm Silvia Caneva from WIP Renewable Energies. I'm the coordinator of SocialRES. SocialRES is a project co-financed by the European Commission. We started in May 2019. And now, after almost 4 years of project, we will end the 31st of December 2022. SocialRES is a project about social innovation in energy. We have investigated a different business model from crowdfunding, energy community, energy cooperative, and aggregators. Today with us, we have our utility aggregator partners that will show some relevant results obtained during the SocialRES project. We have here Alexandru Costeniuc from Tractebel. Alexandru is energy efficiency consultant. And then, Alessandro, I give you directly the floor to you. I switch on my camera, my microphone, but I'm here. So in case you need me, I will connect. And then I will appear again after your presentation to moderate the discussion. So thanks a lot, Alexandru, for your time. And the floor is yours.
Thank you, Silvia. Hello, everybody. I will share my screen now in presentation.
Perfect. We can see it. If you can put in a presentation mode, perfect. Okay, perfect.
Okay. So the topic I proposed for today is the role of local grid tariffs in accelerating the social green energy transition. To be honest with you, this topic is open to debate. We don't have a solution yet. It's a rather complex topic that we actually not necessarily discovered, but we found as very important during preparing our deliverable for SocialRES, which was the virtual platform for peer-to-peer energy trading. First of all, let me tell you a few words about this virtual platform for energy trading. We imagine that nowadays, with more and more prosumers entering and connecting the grid with small energy producers for PV and wind turbines with energy storage systems, we think that peer-to-peer energy trading should gain more importance and also empower citizens to trade energy with each other. It's a good alternative to the conventional energy supplying scheme, where you have only a few large producers and many consumers enduring the high tariffs, also both for active energy, but also for grid tariffs. Our tool, of course, it's a demo one, but offers in theory and practice also the possibility to the participants to sell their energy surplus, for example, if we speak of prosumers, and doing so, engaging in peer-to-peer energy transactions, most of the participants or all of the participants are better off to this classic supplying scheme, meaning that consumers save more money, prosumers earn more money by selling their energy directly to the consumers, not necessarily to the distributors. And of course, the same happens to the small energy producers, because they could have higher incomes selling locally to consumers and not necessarily to the DSO distribution system operators. This concept applies rather to residentials or commercials because we speak also of a threshold for installed capacity. For example, in Romania, 400 kilowatt for PV installations. And therefore, the energy transit between these participants in reality takes place more or less local on the low voltage side of the grid. So this was what we actually imagined as peer-to-peer energy trading, and we analyzed the benefits. The results were very confident, meaning that all the participants were better off compared to a classic supplying energy scheme. But while we are building our deliverable and thinking of how to empower the citizens, prosumers, for example, to trade with other consumers from neighborhood, we discovered that grid tariffs may play also a major role. Of course, we saw that mainly in Romania because we were very concentrated on the Romanian market, and we encountered some examples. For example, if I were a prosumer and I would like to share energy to my neighbor, and who is located, I don't know, 100 meters away, he would pay almost the same grid tariff as other consumer from another Romanian region, I don't know, 200 kilometers far away, because the methodology for grid tariffing doesn't doesn't make much difference between local, regional, and national. Of course, we have the grids divided in low voltage, medium voltage, high voltage. But from our point of view, it's not necessarily enough to cover the situations that may occur, as I mentioned earlier. This is an example of my electricity bill. Of course, they are Romanian writings and Romanian numbers. I could say, okay, the price per kilowatt hour would be 0.68 RON. RON is our national currency. I know in euros would be in, I don't know, maybe 15 cents, something like that. Anyway, what I wanted to highlight you is the price per active energy would be that, and also the price for the energy distribution, for local energy distribution, which is that. We have also, this is for low voltage. We have also here other tariffs for injecting into the grid and so on. But what I actually want to highlight is that if we think in terms of ratio, this costs for transporting the energy from me as a prosumer to my neighbor 100 meters away would account for 60% of the grid tariffs, which is not to neglect. What I mean by that is we are of the opinion that there is much potential in optimizing this grid tariffs in order to decrease to lower the energy prices for local consumers. Okay. Tractebel, the company I'm working for, did also a case study regarding the operating technological cost of the grid operators, grid distributions operators, and we discovered that these technological costs vary from region to region. We can see here one Romanian region, we have 14%, and in another one we have only 7%. What I want to say by that is, although we have differences in operating costs regarding service maintenance, investments in grid, and so on, the consumers from all these regions pay the same grid tariff. And in Romania, we have this monopoly. I don't know how is it within the European Union in other countries, but here we have a monopoly for calculating the grid tariffs, because this National Authority for Energy Regulations approves the grid tariffs. We have about eight large energy distributors, and they report their service and maintenance cost to this authority. And it seems that there is a Tom and Jerry play, because the energy distributors increase their or report increased service and maintenance cost because they anticipate that the authority would cut their profit share. And on the other side, the authority cuts from the beginning the cost, or tries to lower the margin, because they know that or they believe that the energy distributors increase their service and maintenance cost. And of course, the methodology of calculation is very, very complex. There are a lot of factors that influence the grid tariff. But one major is that this grid tariff is a result between the grid cost, the grid operating cost, and the transited energy. In a modern grid, these local grid tariffs should go more hand in hand with a new reality, which is more prosumers, much more distributed energy sources, new market participants, such as aggregators and energy communities, and of course, increased energy transit between prosumers and small producers and consumers, which actually takes place mostly on the low voltage side of the grid. I mentioned that at the beginning, due to the threshold of the installed capacity, for example, for PVs, but also to the dimensions of consumption for residentials. Most energy is being transited or traded on the low voltage side of the grid. But this is not necessarily taken into account by the old methodology for grid tariff calculation, because they see everything in a pool, regardless whether I have more local transit or lower service or maintenance costs for a separate for a certain area. This is not taken into account, because what matters is the overall service and maintenance costs for the grid that is being operated for a licensed by a licensed company. We had actually this challenge thinking of urban areas because, as you know, energy communities may expand from the geographical point of view only to the borders of a city, not necessarily to a region. And if we think of urban areas where such concepts as aggregators and energy communities and tools like the one that we developed to enable peer-to-peer energy trading, where all these concepts and solutions to empower citizens to trade energy have are actually most utile and make more sense. On the other hand, we have the problem, the space problem, because not every rooftop in a city is suited for PV installations, for example. And okay, let's imagine an office building, pretty tall office building with a high volume, space volume, which has actually compared to the space volume has a rather a small rooftop, and there is not much space for a PV installation. And on the other hand, this office building has huge energy consumption. It would be very viable for this energy consumer maybe to build a PV plant, I don't know, 300, 400 meters far away in order to enjoy the self-consumption. But the problem is that there are 2 meters, official meters, between this building and the small production site. And if he has to pay as a consumer the present grid tariff, then he would be actually not so advantaged because of their high ratio in the end price in his energy bill. So yes, peer-to-peer energy trading is actually the new trend that would come and would be very beneficial for the participants, especially for prosumers and consumers. We demonstrated that the ratio of the active energy, financial speaking, in the energy bill could be lower if there is participants, if prosumers and consumers participate in a tool like TEAP, like this virtual energy transaction platform. But the problem is only to 50% solved, because there is also the other component, which is the grid tariff, which also allows enough room or space to increase the efficiency in terms of financial gains for the prosumers and the consumers. I don't know whether I made myself a little bit clear.
Yes, very clear.
which the problem is, but I'm sure we can debate on it, and I have much more answers to deliver.
Thanks, Alexandru. In the meantime, I share in the chat for all the participants your deliverable, the report where you describe really very, very in detail the peer-to-peer energy trading platform created by Tractebel in Bucharest. So for all the participants, you have the link in the chat. You can stop the sharing, so we can open the floor to the question, if any. So I first ask to the participant we see here in Zoom. Do you have any question for Alex on the presentation in general? Take advantage of his experience as a consultant for utility Tractebel. I assume that, we know that with the war in Ukraine, this energy crisis solution as the peer-to-peer energy trading platform, they will be more and more needed in the future for finding solution alternative, to the scenario that we have at the moment. So any question for Alex? Otherwise, I have a question for you. No, I don't see any hands. You know that in Zoom there is the specific button to make the question. Otherwise, switch on the camera. You are really welcome to address, to interact with Alex. Otherwise, until we have, okay. There are no questions from the social media. Okay, so Alex, first of all, thanks for your presentation. It's really important, as I said, energy crisis is a very important topic nowadays, as we know, with the war in Ukraine, but also before with the climate crisis, the global warming. Energy is a very, very relevant topic in this phase of our lives on this planet, I would say. You say that Tractebel has established this peer-to-peer energy trading platform. I would like to ask you a bit more details. I know that you have a pilot phase when you were investigating, I don't remember, 30 consumer, 30 prosumer, and then you have the real case demonstration when you have 5 consumer prosumer involved. I'd like simply to ask you for a bit feedback on the pilot and then on the result on the real case implementation, if you remember all the more or less the result that you have from your deliverable.
I still remember a little bit. May I share
Yes.
one more time?
Please share it. Yeah. In the meantime, you say something very important because correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, now I see the deliverable. In the deliverable, you have shown the energy prices, but of course, this is only the 50% because we have taken into account the grid tariff. So it's only part of the life, what you show in the deliverable. Please, I give the floor to you now.
Yes, so to be more specific, we imagine the concept, and then we have also a case study near Bucharest, which is a residential neighborhood, where some participants agreed to participate to our case study and enable the access to their smart meters, being either prosumers or consumers. And what we analyzed during the case study was the impact by doing peer-to-peer transactions within this residential neighborhood, for example, the impact on this component from the energy bill, which would be the price on active energy. And let's say if you are a normal consumer, you have a supplier contract with your energy distributor, energy supplier, and you pay a certain price. From my point of view, €1. Okay. And then comes a company, not necessarily Tractebel, but companies which are socially innovative and think of citizens, and propose as alternative such a tool for peer-to-peer energy trading. The consumer then can enroll in such a tool and of course, accepting some terms and conditions, but then he can delegate this energy supplying problem to this platform, which is doing more or less everything automatically. And what this platform does is to put consumers in touch with the prosumers, of course, all participants of this platform, and trade energy with each other locally. The main result is that this price on energy, active energy price on active energy would be lower for a consumer who participates in such a peer-to-peer energy trading platform. And we analyzed that, we proved that this really happens. Of course, under some circumstances, I will name them later, a little bit later. And as I was saying, this is the part that we analyzed, but we haven't played with grid tariffs. We said, okay, they are the same, doesn't play a role whether they are higher or lower, because the main source of profit or gain for the participants comes from here. But of course, in the reality, the second source of profit could also come from here, because it is not necessarily logical that, for example, me as a prosumer, that I sell the energy to my neighbor living across the street in the same residential area, and that he pays the same grid tariff and as another one potential customer client living 200 kilometers away. And of course, we we haven't investigated, we don't have a solution for that, but it is very obvious that something has to be done, because goes hand in hand with what we already proved, that citizens can be better off if they enjoy flexible trading systems, energy trading systems. Regarding our deliverable, we imagined a business model. Okay, looks like that. What is this all about? Of course, we had to make some concessions, because this concept, this demo platform has to be also ready for implementation, has to be real, so to speak. And if we think of our energy market in Romania, not everything would be possible at this moment, and maybe neither in 10 years or 5 years. And that's why we imagined a hybrid business model between participants, of course, prosumers, consumers, and small producers. Strategic energy supplier, as we called him, which is actually an aggregator. And of course, this IT tool called TEAP, which is the peer-to-peer energy trading platform. And the game is following the IT tool. The TEAP platform enables virtual energy transactions, which are physically closed by this strategic energy provider. Because, of course, if you are a member in this platform as a consumer or as a prosumer, you don't enjoy, or better said, you're doing everything virtually, but at the end, you have to lighten up your house, so you need physical energy, and this is actually organized by this aggregator, strategic energy provider. And all this makes sense depending on the ratio that you have as participants. For example, if you would have only consumers, then such a tool wouldn't make sense, because you would have also the transactional cost of the tool, the maintenance cost, employee cost, and so on. This would be added up to that component of active energy. But having only consumers in the platform means that you have the same energy price and as in the classic scheme. On the other hand, if you have only prosumers or small producers, then you'd also be disadvantaged, because you would sell energy to the same price as in the classic scheme. For example, now in Romania, or I don't know, not necessarily in Romania, but if we think of grid tariff, okay, you sell the surplus energy to the grid for 10 cents. Okay. If you have only prosumers in the platform, then you wouldn't get more than 10 cents, because there would be no consumer who would be willing to pay, I don't know, 12 or 15 cents for your surplus energy. And that's why we need this mix, this ratio between consumers and prosumers. And of course, we made some calculations, and we the figures. With our case study, the residential neighborhood has about 100 participants. With these 100 participants, wouldn't be feasible to run such a peer-to-peer energy trading platform, because or would be marginal feasible, because the operating cost would be too high compared to the gains. But if we increase the number of participants, for example, to 1,100, then there is more or less kind of explosion of revenues and of course of the margin. And this is actually also normal, because if we think of the previous limitations that I mentioned, only prosumers, only consumers, so you have these market price limitations. If you are in between, always either the prosumer or the consumer would be better off compared to the classic scheme, because okay, the gain could be higher or a bit higher or lower, but there will be also always a gain for them. And the more participants you have, the better for the fixed cost coverage, and of course afterwards you have only variable costs which are generating more and more profit and revenue. But this only for transactions and for the component of the active energy. The gains could be much higher if we had also the possibility of flexible grid tariffs or non-tariffs, because if we think local of a residential neighborhood, the question would be, okay, why should we pay so high grid tariffs for service and maintenance costs, which the DSO reports to the authority, because most certain they don't occur. So one possibility would be either to have only an energy meter for the whole residential neighborhood, and to take responsibility for the grid. In this case, the profit would rocket, because you would eliminate more or less the grid tariff. But I don't know. This is not really legal to do. For example, in Romania. Another possibility would be to set up a company and to buy and administrate a local grid for the residential neighborhood, which is actually, I'm not sure. I think it's almost impossible in Romania, because there are so many requirements for that that it's almost prohibitive, especially for small residential communities like this. So it would be interesting to have a flexibilization of local grid tariffs, which takes into account that most energy transit happens locally on the low voltage side and not nationwide, and so on.
Yes, because you use only part of the grid with this platform, so doesn't make it's not fair that
Yes.
the users connected to this platform, they have to pay the grid tariff for a long distance, if I correctly understood.
Yes, that's correct. Okay. And the long distance doesn't necessarily mean 1,000 kilometers. Long distance could be, I don't know, maybe 2 kilometers. Yes, technically speaking, it would be rather complex to differentiate between meters in taking into account the grid, but the point of view is the bottom line actually is that there are the present grid tariffs are not up to date, and they don't take into account this rapid transition to green energy with more and more prosumers connecting to the grid. And I mentioned one more time the example from earlier when I said, okay, if we have I don't know, an office building, for example, which has a pretty high energy consumption and is not able to install a PV on the rooftop, then okay, has the possibility to access such a peer-to-peer energy platform and to procure local produced energy to better prices. Okay, of course, this is possible, but he would still have to pay the grid tariff, which wouldn't reflect the example I gave. Okay, for self-consumption, for example, 500 meters away to have an own PV installation, so not on the rooftop, but on greenfield, couple of meters away, and to benefit from the advantage of self-consumption. But this would also not be fully exploited because of this challenge, grid tariff challenge. he would have his own meter, and PV installation would have also its own meter, and although the distance is very short, you should have to pay high grid tariffs. There are in the European Union also better alternatives with virtual metering, as I recently found out. In Spain, for example, okay, within 500-meter radius, you can do virtual metering. And this would milder the problem of grid tariffs, but actually this is more or less it's like working on the effect, but not on the cause. And from our point of view, from my point of view, personally, also the cause are the grid tariffs, which are still calculated, and they are still oriented at the conventional grid with few large producers and many consumers.
Yes, indeed. I have a question, Alex, about this revenue, total revenues that we see in this table. 37, more than 37,000 euro is in 1 year, right? In 12 months, this amount. Okay. Yes. This will be divided by the consumer, prosumer, small renewable energies producer, I assume, this revenue.
Yes, but we didn't think of that, because you mean by trying to find out the gain of, I mean, here what you see is the TEAP revenue. It's not the it's not the personal gain of of the participant, because here we've taken into account 20% fee from the participant benefit. So this total TEAP revenue comes from, we made some calculations and simulations why we chose 20%. So we are like more or less contracting. We had to find a solution to tax the participants, to apply taxes. And one solution would have been, okay, to so that they pay a fee for every energy transaction within the platform, but we did some calculation and we found it better that we retain 20% of their gain. So if, for example, one prosumer earns 100 euros in the platform, and this 100 euros would be the difference between classic and modern, classic energy supplying scheme and modern, like participating in TEAP. We'd retain 20% of this 100 euros. And this would be the revenue for operating the platform.
Okay, it's clear. Yes, the revenue for maintenance of the platform, if I understood well. And so you need this revenue. Yeah,
maintenance of the platform, paying employees.
Yes.
Operating costs. Yes.
Exactly.
And profit, because of course, I think a real company engaged in such peer-to-peer energy transaction would also follow profit.
Yes, exactly, because I'm thinking, because you're a utility, you know, if so you establish this kind of platform, you use your customer, because if they are prosumer, the consumer, they are able to exchange energy, and so they do not need a supplier as Tractebel. But anyhow, you can have anyhow a business model in order to be the organization providing the platform, having a revenue anyhow, also with this kind of business models.
Yes, because we imagined in our business model, we imagined this platform as a software as a service. So
exactly.
a third company could offer this service, like Uber. Uber
exactly. Yeah.
Uber
Yeah.
Energy. And although the concept is pretty social, I think the company administrating the platform would rather think in terms of profit, and yes, would like to earn as much as possible. We made no anticipation regarding this possibility. I know this 20% could be much higher, but we have to keep in mind that the cost of opportunity, because such a platform would have clients, participants, as long as the gains are paying off. So if they earn only €1 participating in this platform, but they have very high energy bills, so this would be very disproportionate, wouldn't be attracting for the participants. So,
exactly. So because I see, with this kind of service that you as a utility, you can move from the energy supplier to be a service supplier. So anyhow, you have a relevant role also in the energy transition. If, with this platform, peer-to-peer platform, the consumer, the prosumer, a small renewable energy system operator, they are connected, but then you can provide the platform. And of course, you need the profit to maintain the platform and then to pay, as you say, the employees and so on.
yeah.
So, okay, perfect. So very important. I think what you have done in Bucharest. Thanks a lot, Alex. I don't know if there are questions from the participant. Otherwise, we can close the webinars, though I don't see question. So as I said, the deliverable is available in the link here in the chat. Is available also for those ones that are not in Zoom in the SocialRES website. So socialres.eu, you go under resources, you will find this deliverable, very relevant deliverable from Alex. As we said, the utilities as Tractebel have a relevant role in this energy transition phase. So becoming service suppliers, as we have seen today, would be very, very, very important. So thanks, Alex. I don't know if you want to comment, have anything to add to this webinar with us.
Yes, I want to emphasize one more time why this a new design for grid tariffs so important is, because what is happening if you have such an alternative as peer-to-peer energy trading platforms that allow citizens, empower citizens to become energy independent and to earn more money with their energy surplus. This accelerates the transition to green energy, because it spreads out, more and more people find out, oh, it's okay to be a prosumer, it's okay to participate in such platforms. So everything accelerates, and smart grid tariffs could even more bring a higher contribution to this acceleration, to this transition, because then energy would be more cheaper, because this is the bottom line, to especially during this period when we face increased energy prices and we need alternative to lower them. And the current market models are not able to calm down this increase in energy prices, and actually they are a failure nowadays from my point of view. So we need alternatives, and we need alternatives on all the layers when we think of energy trading. So not necessarily transactional costs, but also grid tariffs. And this is a major challenge from my point of view for the next years, because it's very complex. It's very difficult to implement. But on the other hand, if implemented, then would rocket the energy transactions, energy trades between citizens, and would accelerate even more the transition to green energy.
Yes, it's very, very relevant what you said. Indeed, it's not just a question of the cost of energy, the fuels and so on, but it's a very important the tariff on the grid. As you said, if they are more flexible and smart, we can really better support the citizens. We know how much important and urgent is in this phase. So yes, thanks a lot, Alex, again for your relevant contribution. We meet in the SocialRES project as partners. Thanks to the participant. So as I said, if we don't see questions, we can close the webinars here. Will be available on YouTube, Twitter, anyhow. So thanks a lot again, Alex. Thanks again for your time. Bye-bye. Have a nice afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks to the colleague of Icons that they have provided the platform. Ciao, Marta. Bye-bye.
Have a nice afternoon.
Yes,
Bye-bye.